What's up, everybody? We have got an awesome weekend of football, and I just wanted to dig into it, college and pro, just so we get a primer starting. Obviously, Friday night here, we got three different championship games, and I did want to highlight these just because we do have James Madison playing against Troy, North Texas, and Tulane, which are both ranked matchups, specifically in the American Championship. Of course, these are relevant given that there is a group of five team that is the highest ranked that is ultimately going to get a college football playoff spot. Obviously, these games are going to be interesting to see. If North Texas ends up winning and James Madison dominates Troy, does that mean that JMU can jump North Texas and Tulane to get into the college football playoff? Tulane handles business. You imagine that they stay ahead of JMU and ultimately do end up getting that spot, but it's something to watch as far as that is concerned. And I did have to say, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Kennesaw State University, the newest FCS team added to the college football. 2 years ago, they were not a Division One FCS team and ultimately got added to Conference USA. Now they are in the championship game just 2 years after that. Shout out to Kennesaw State, obviously on the uptick as far as what their program is going. I wanted to give them a hat tip as far as getting to this conference championship game. And we'll see if they're able to beat Jacksonville State ultimately to secure that championship. So moving on to tomorrow, we have the championship game in the Big 12, of course, going down in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. Between BYU and Texas Tech, both of these teams are ranked fairly highly. Obviously, Texas Tech jumped into the top four in the latest college football playoff ranking. Their defense is playing outstanding football. They've really been dominating the Big 12. I do expect them to beat BYU as they did earlier in the season. We'll see if BYU can stave off some of the turnovers that they had in that game. However, if BYU does pull off the upset, then all of a sudden the college football playoff will get a little bit hectic as they will have pretty much earned they will earn that automatic Big 12 bid. Texas Tech is in strong position to still have an out-large bid even with a loss. Then that throws a lot of wrinkle into some of what the college football playoff spots end up looking like. Speaking of which, SEC championship game, Georgia, Alabama. Obviously, anytime you have Georgia and Alabama in an SEC championship game, it is going to be big time. Obviously, both of these schools are highly ranked as far as that is concerned. This is a very fascinating thing for the college football playoff. There are losses on both of these teams. We will see ultimately what that ramification ends up looking like, but I think this is going to end up being an ultimately great game either way it ends up going, and we'll see what the ramifications will end up, coming to roost as far as what the playoff will look like. But I'm very excited to see, obviously, Georgia and Alabama going down in Atlanta. Going on, Big Ten Conference Championship game, probably the marquee matchup as far as the college football slate. Number one versus number two, both undefeated. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza is somebody that has been at the forefront of the Heisman race. Obviously, we know what type of talent Jeremiah Smith is. Julian Saint has come on as of late for Ohio State. These are, in many respects, as you see their rankings, the two best teams in the country. We are going to see an absolute brawl as far as both of these teams going at Ohio State, coming off of a drumming in Michigan in a very snowy environment on rivalry week, and Indiana absolutely destroying Purdue. I'm super excited to see this game, and obviously there's a lot of NFL talent on the field, to say the least. But this is going to be massive just to see who gets the automatic Big Ten bid. And obviously this is going to have some pretty big ramifications for what the path to the playoffs and ultimately to the championship, that both of these teams have those type of aspirations. Shout out to Indiana for what has been a little bit of a Cinderella dream season to this point. If they can pull off a Big Ten championship over Ohio State, then that just moves it up just another notch, and we'll see how that moves forward. Flipping over to the NFL slate, obviously this got started on Thursday Night Football with the Cowboys and Lions playing an entertaining game. The Lions end up handling business, but we've got some divisions on the line. Obviously, the first place in the AFC South, Indianapolis Colts versus Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence versus Daniel Jones. Jones going through some of those injuries after that loss to the Texans last week. Now they ceded the top spot as far as to Jacksonville right now. Of course, the winner of this game would be able to go to the number one spot as far as that is concerned. Massive game to see who ends up coming out on top. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, both teams reeling a little bit, coming off of a loss. Baltimore ends up losing to Cincinnati, obviously, last week on Thanksgiving night. Pittsburgh gets drummed by the Bills, and James Cook with an excellent rushing performance. We will have to see ultimately what that looks like. It's going to be an ugly game, in my opinion, but this is, again, for the top of the AFC North. And then the Sunday, 4:25 afternoon slate, kind of standalone game. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears that are coming off of a massive win with a great ground game, dominating the Philadelphia Eagles on Black Friday. and Jordan Love's Packers coming off of a huge win on Thanksgiving over the Lions, of course. This is for the top spot in the NFC North. Obviously, they've been building to this. They are going to play twice in the next 3 weeks, and these games will go a long way to determining who ultimately does win what has probably been the most competitive division in all of football to this point in the season. And finally, Sunday Night Football to cap it all off, Texans Chiefs. Two teams that are outside the AFC playoff picture as it currently stands. Two teams that desperately need this win to put themselves in better positions. Obviously, the Texans are trying to chase down the Colts and the Jaguars for that AFC South crown. They're very much in that position to be able to do so. Last year, they did have their season ended by the Chiefs and Arrowhead, in addition to a loss that they took in the regular season. Offensive line has been playing a little bit better. CJ Stroud obviously been back now for Davis Mills as well. They found some things with their wide receivers that are working out well. Woody Marks has started to gain some traction at the running back position. And in my opinion, they have the best defense in football. The Chiefs are in an unfamiliar position. At 500, deep into December now at this point, they are in life support in many ways, and this is a massive game for their playoff lives as they trying to get some tiebreakers for that AFC wildcard picture. This is going to be huge. They are already down, it looks like 3 offensive linemen. Going up against this defensive line is going to be tough. Can Patrick Mahomes have an all-time game on Sunday Night Football to pull this Chiefs win out is going to be something to watch. So fun